You mentioned home renovations. Do you remember why those renovations were occurring?
There were storms late spring that caused water damage to General Paxton's Austin home.
Okay. I don't want you to give the address, but could you give us the street name so that we're all familiar with the fact that we're speaking about the same thing?
Margarinita Crescent.
So you said spring. Do you recall what month the damage occurred in?
This probably would have occurred March, April timeframe.
Okay. And do you know where the damage was?
To the best of my recollection, it was confined to the master bedroom.
Why would you know that?
I met with the insurance adjuster multiple times at the request of General Paxton while he was out of town or in other meetings.
So there were occasions where you were authorized on his behalf to conduct personal business, for example, the adjustment of the insurance?
I was authorized to greet the insurance adjuster and show them the home.
Does that mean you would sometimes also receive records related to the home renovation?
I can only think of one occurrence in which that happened.
And what was that?
I received an invoice that I had been included on from the STEAM team.
And are you aware, as the adjuster, that there are some renovations that were done pursuant to the water damage itself and covered by insurance?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. I'm going to turn everyone's attention to House Exhibit 703. Again, it's a business record. It's Cupertino Builders. There's a business record affidavit, and it's been on file for over 14 days.
Any objection?
No, sir.
Admit 703 into evidence.
Stacy, would you please pull up the face of the email that's attached? Mr. Wicker, do you recognize the name of the individual who sent the email?
Kevin Wood.
And who is Kevin Wood?
Kevin Wood was the lead contractor at the Paxton's home renovation.
Is he someone that you met personally?
He is.
How many times did you see or speak with Kevin Wood?
At least a half dozen.
And do you see that on the to line is the name Raj Kumar?
I see, yes, I do.
And moving down further, do you see that Nate Paul was N Paul at worldclass.com was the person who emailed Kevin Wood?
I do.
Where is that? What are we looking at?
Is the body of that email related to home items or repairs, things that need to be done?
It would appear so, yes.
I'm going to have Stacy then turn to the first couple of pictures in the file. Can we see the next? Does anything about the home being depicted look familiar to you?
Several of these images do appear to be, that's the Paxton's dining room.
Are you wondering or are you sure?
No, I'm positive.
Thank you. On how many occasions were you at the Margarinita home in the summer of 2020 during renovations?
During the renovations, half dozen.
Okay. And do you recall any times that you were present where Kevin Wood and Ken Paxton were both there?
I do.
I'm going to turn your attention to a conversation about the kitchen. Do you recall whether or not there was any damage to that area of the home?
I do not.
Would it make sense then that these are things external to insurance coverage?
It would make sense.
Is that an area of the home that you ever discussed in regards to being an adjuster or assisting the adjuster, rather?
Not to my recollection.
Okay. Can you walk us through any conversations you overheard between Kevin Wood and Ken Paxton?
Objection, Your Honor. Anything Kevin Wood may have said would be hearsay.
At this stage, Your Honor, it's not being offered for the truth. It's to set an anchor. I will get more specific in a moment.
Again, Your Honor, the question is very nonspecific, and anything she's going to ask about what Kevin Wood may have said is hearsay.
Your Honor, it is clear from the course of the conversation that Kevin Wood was acting as a service provider. At that point, the truth doesn't matter. At the point in which it does, it goes to his motive, intent, and plan.
Again, Your Honor, you've already, she just said what Kevin Wood said wouldn't matter. I agree. Hearsay and irrelevant.
I didn't say it ultimately wouldn't matter, Your Honor. It will matter very much.
Sustain.
Did you get an idea as to what the relationship was between Ken Paxton and Kevin Wood?
Kevin Wood was the lead contractor on General Paxton's home.
And if Mr. Paxton then wanted additional things or changes to the renovation, whom would he speak with?
Kevin Wood.
Is there any other way Mr. Paxton would find out the timing of renovations or the duration of renovations or the cost of renovations other than Kevin Wood?
Objection, compound, and speculation. She is asking what Ken Paxton would do and what he would know. That's pure speculation.
It's an operative fact, Your Honor. There's no other way for him to know it.
Again, she just asked what Ken Paxton might know. That's speculation.
I'm going to overrule. You can answer if you know.
Not to my knowledge.
I don't even remember the question at this point, frankly. I might have to read it back. At any point, were there conversations about changes to the property?
Yes.
Isn't that the entire point of a contractor?
Yes.
And at any point, were there discussions about particular items in the home?
Yes.
Would what matters to you be whether a counter is granted or not, or whether the renovations are occurring at this stage?
Objection, vague, and relevance.
Did you care what his countertops were made of?
Again, Your Honor, what does it matter whether young Drew Wicker cares about the countertops? It's irrelevant.
Overrule.
Did you care what the countertops were made of?
No.
Did anything about a conversation related to countertops concern you?
Objection, hearsay.
It is not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. There's no statement. It asks if he overheard something he was concerned about.
She just asked for hearsay right there, Your Honor. That's hearsay.
No, Your Honor, it goes to state of mind.
Overruled.
Thank you. At some point, did you hear something that concerned you?
Yes.
What was that?
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, there's three places. One, nucleus of operative facts, because it goes to the center of this. Specific to hearsay, it goes to state of mind. There's no other way for General Paxton to know how long something is going to take or what it will cost other than speaking to his contractor. And finally, it goes to Drew Wicker's state of mind in regards to what he does next because of what he heard, whether the statement is true or not.
Your Honor, we need to know who she's talking about was speaking. I think she's trying to elicit testimony about what this man heard a contractor say who has been subpoenaed and who could come here and testify. This is not the right witness for that.
I'm going to overrule. You're not saying it's the truth of the matter, just the statement was made.
That's at this point, Your Honor. Mr. President, thank you. What did you hear that concerned you?
Kevin Wood stated that he would check with Nate on several of the items.
Now, was that about how long something would take or when something would be delivered?
No, sir. No, ma'am. It was with regards to cost.
Now, if Kevin Wood's a contractor who's trying to make money on his own, why would he need to check with anyone?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
So let's back up a little bit. What would he have to check with Nate on specifically? Please tell us in detail what you recall.
He was stating that he would need to check with Nate on the cost of countertops and renovations to the cabinetry in the kitchen.
I'm going to be very specific. Did he have to check on the cost, or did he have to check on, did Mr. Wood seem to already understand what the cost would be?
Yes.
And what was the cost?
He mentioned the total of $20,000
For what?
for the cabinetry and the countertops.
And what was Ken Paxton's response? That he wanted to do it or did not want to do it?
He stated that he would like to move forward.
And then what was said by Kevin Wood?
He said, I would check with Nate.
Did you relay that conversation to anyone?
I related to 2 individuals.
Were either of them people who worked above you at the Office of the Attorney General?
Yes.
Were you relaying the information to be salacious or for another reason?
I was seeking advice.
And who did you speak to?
I spoke to Mark Rylander and Blake Brickman.
What did Mark Rylander or Blake Brickman advise you to do?
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, they're both.
Sustained.
Okay. What did you do after speaking to Mark Rylander and Blake Brickman?
I spoke to General Paxton.
What did you say to Mr. General Paxton?
I asked him about the conversation that I'd overheard, and I stated that I walked away with a certain impression, and
Let me
that
pause you. With what impression?
I walked away with the impression that Nate Paul was involved in the renovations of General Paxton's home.
What concerns did you have about that?
Given the fact that we were working on several items related to Mr. Paul, it felt as though there might be an inappropriate relationship there.
Were you that clear with the general?
Yes.
And what happened?
He stated that he appreciated me bringing his concern to him, and that he then assured me that that was in fact not the case.
Did his explanation absolve all concerns?
No.
How did you feel at the conclusion of that conversation?
Still uneasy, but I never discussed it after that with him.
Okay. Are you aware of the fact that we've issued subpoenas for Kevin Wood for him to address these issues and that he does not intend to testify before this court?
Objection, speculation. She just testifying now.
Sustained.
Did you spend much time at the Paxton home after that?
Not much, no.
Why not?
It was a mix of ongoing renovations, increased travel, and just lack of requests to be there.
Did you feel comfortable